Have you ever noticed that as you get older, you just don't feel the need to visit people as often? Maybe you used to go out frequently, dropping by a neighbor's home, attending every family gathering, or keeping up with old friends. But somewhere along the way, something changed. Now, before heading out, you pause. You weigh the effort, the energy, and the meaning behind the visit. And here's the truth that change is perfectly okay. In today's video, we're going to explore 6 honest reasons why many people over 70 find themselves visiting less often. These reasons aren't about pulling away from the world or becoming antisocial. They're about wisdom, about shifting priorities, valuing peace, and recognizing the beauty in spending your time more intentionally. If you've ever felt this way but didn't quite know how to explain it, not even to yourself, this video will help you put those quiet feelings into words. It's about understanding your needs, honoring your energy, and letting go of unnecessary guilt. And once you hear these truths, you may never feel bad again about choosing to stay home, choosing quiet, or choosing you. If this message resonates with you, please take a moment to subscribe to Senior Wellness. Give this video a like and share it with someone who might need to hear it today. Prioritizing energy for meaningful interactions. As we age, something subtle but significant begins to shift inside us. You may not even notice it at first, but gradually the urge to be everywhere, to visit everyone, and to attend every gathering begins to fade. What once felt effortless, getting dressed, driving across town, sitting through long conversations, suddenly starts to feel a little heavier. It's not that you don't care. It's not that you've lost interest in others. It's simply that you've started to recognize a deeper truth. Your energy is precious and limited. When we're younger, we often socialize to stay connected, to be seen, or to fulfill obligations. The circle is wide, the invitations frequent, and the visits almost automatic. But with time, our perspective changes. We begin to value quality over quantity. We start asking ourselves, who really lifts me up? Who brings peace into my life? And that's where the transformation begins. You stop saying yes to every invitation. You no longer push yourself to attend events out of guilt or expectation. Instead, you begin to choose carefully, intentionally. You prioritize the people who matter most, the ones who truly see you, understand you, and value your presence. Take someone like Harold. In his younger days, he was always on the move, never missing a birthday party or family dinner. But now at 74, he's more selective. He no longer feels the need to explain himself when he says no. He's learned that those who truly care for him don't need constant visits to know they're loved. There's a quiet wisdom in that kind of choice, a sense of inner peace that comes from recognizing your own needs and honoring them. You begin to realize that social energy is like a bank account. You want to invest it where the return is joy, not exhaustion. How many times have you come home from a visit feeling more drained than fulfilled? Maybe the conversation didn't resonate. Maybe you felt invisible. Or maybe it simply reminded you that not every interaction feeds the soul. That realization can be hard, but it's also freeing. This is not about shutting people out. It's about creating space for the relationships that truly matter. It's about choosing meaningful interactions over routine obligations. It's about embracing a holistic health approach, one that includes emotional well-being, peace of mind, and the right to protect your energy. And when you do say yes, when you do visit someone, it feels different. You're fully present. You enjoy the moment. You laugh, listen, and connect on a deeper level. Because you're there by choice, not by obligation. This is one of the beautiful gifts of aging. You become more in tune with what nourishes your spirit. You learn to release guilt. You understand that being less available doesn't mean being less loving. In fact, it means the opposite. You're making room for intentional living, for choosing how and with whom you spend your time. And that in itself is an act of love, both for others and for yourself. At Senior Wellness, we believe this kind of wisdom deserves to be celebrated, not questioned. So if you found yourself visiting less, protecting your energy, and choosing meaningful connections over casual ones, know this: you are not alone. You are evolving. And you are allowed to honor that. Always remember to listen to your body, your heart, and your needs. And if you're ever unsure, speaking with a healthcare provider or counselor can be a helpful step toward clarity. You're not withdrawing, you're becoming more present where it truly counts. And that, in the eyes of senior living, is not only wise, it's powerful. Avoiding unnecessary stress and drama. One of the quiet truths that becomes more clear with age is this: not every conversation is worth having, not every gathering is worth attending, and not every relationship is worth preserving, especially if it comes at the cost of your peace of mind. In your younger years, you may have tolerated gossip, passive-aggressive remarks, or emotional tension just to keep the peace. You might have shown up to gatherings out of obligation, even if you knew you'd leave feeling drained or frustrated. But as you get older, something within you begins to shift. You realize that peace is not a luxury, it's a necessity. That shift doesn't make you rude, it makes you wise. You begin to understand that protecting your emotional energy is part of your overall wellness, just as important as what you eat or how much you move. This is the heart of holistic health, where mental and emotional well-being matter just as much as physical strength. Take someone like Helen. In her 70s, she used to visit certain relatives out of habit, even though every visit was clouded by tension. There were always sharp comments, unresolved disagreements, or just a general feeling of discomfort. She would drive home with a heavy heart, wondering why she kept putting herself in those situations. One day, something changed. She asked herself, "Why am I doing this?" The answer was simple: she didn't have to. She didn't need to feel guilty for saying no. She began to choose peace over pressure and never looked back. Now Helen spends her time with people who make her feel safe and valued. Conversations are warm, not sharp. Visits feel restorative, not draining. And for the first time in years, socializing brings her joy instead of tension. Maybe you felt this too. Maybe you've sat through a dinner where the room was filled with complaints, criticism, or comparison. Maybe you've walked into a home and immediately felt unwelcome. Or maybe you've simply realized that some relationships haven't grown with you. These moments are your signal, your body and spirit telling you that it's okay to walk away from what no longer serves you. This doesn't mean you love people any less. It simply means you love yourself enough to choose peace. You're not avoiding connection, you're creating boundaries. And boundaries, especially after 70, are an essential part of senior wisdom. It takes courage to step back. It takes strength to say, "I no longer have the time or energy for environments that leave me feeling worse than when I arrived." But the reward is priceless peace, clarity, and genuine joy. At Senior Wellness, we encourage you to prioritize your well-being in every area of life, not just through habits, but through the people you surround yourself with. If a visit feels heavy before you even arrive, ask yourself why. If a conversation leaves you unsettled, reflect on whether it's worth repeating. You deserve to spend your days in spaces that feel kind, not combative, in homes that feel warm, not cold, in relationships that build you up, not wear you down. And remember, the people who truly care about you will never ask you to sacrifice your peace just to keep a relationship alive. They will understand. And if they don't, that's your answer too. You've earned the right to say no, to protect your energy, to walk away from stress and walk toward joy. That's not avoidance. That's senior wisdom in its purest form. Finding comfort in familiar spaces. There's something deeply soothing about home. The quiet rhythm of your own space. The way the light hits your favorite chair. The scent of your morning coffee brewed just the way you like it. As you get older, this comfort becomes more than preference. It becomes part of your well-being. You may have once enjoyed visiting others, often stopping by for coffee, dropping in on family, attending every birthday and Sunday dinner. But now those same outings can feel more like effort than joy. Not because you don't care, not because you're withdrawing, but because you've come to appreciate the peace that only your own space can offer. The process of getting ready, traveling across town, engaging in small talk, and adjusting to someone else's schedule, it used to be second nature. But these days it can feel draining. And when you compare that to the simple joy of being home, of knowing where everything is, of resting when you need to, without apology, the choice becomes clearer. This isn't about isolating yourself. It's about choosing environments that support your energy, your comfort, and your rhythm. It's a shift from living outwardly to living more intentionally, something many in the senior living community are beginning to embrace with confidence and without guilt. Consider David. For years he felt obligated to attend every gathering, always worried. People might think he didn't care if he said no. But every time he visited someone's home, he found himself distracted by noise, uncomfortable furniture, or the pressure to stay longer than he wanted. Eventually he realized it wasn't the people he was avoiding, it was the setting that no longer fit his needs. So David made a change. He began inviting others to visit him instead, on his terms, in his space. And something remarkable happened. Socializing became enjoyable again. He was more relaxed, more present, and more himself. Many older adults experience this same shift, the realization that being at home doesn't mean being alone. In fact, home is where you can foster the deepest, most authentic connections, because you're not exhausted, overstimulated, or pretending to be more on than you feel. This is a key aspect of senior wellness, recognizing how our physical environment affects our emotional health. Loud rooms, unfamiliar seating, or homes that feel too cold or too cluttered, they all take a toll, even if subtly. But at home you have control. You can wear what feels right. You can move at your own pace. You can rest without explanation. That kind of freedom matters, and so does honoring it. If you found yourself choosing home over outings more often lately, don't feel guilty. That choice is rooted in wisdom, not avoidance. It's about protecting your energy and prioritizing what truly brings you peace, and those who care for you, who truly value your presence, will understand. Inviting someone into your home can feel more meaningful than visiting 10 different places. And if visiting no one today means feeling stronger tomorrow, then that's the right decision for you. Aging gracefully is about more than staying social. It's about living in alignment with your real needs. And sometimes those needs point us right back to our own front door. At Senior Wellness, we honor these quiet shifts in lifestyle. We believe your home isn't just where you live, it's where you heal, where you reflect, and where you thrive. So the next time you choose comfort over obligation, remember you're not being distant. You're being deeply in tune with what matters most. And that's something to celebrate. Preferring quality over quantity in social life. In our younger years, many of us measured connection by how many people filled our calendars. The busier we were, the more successful or fulfilled we felt. Parties, reunions, community events, social life was often about volume. But with age comes clarity. And one of the most freeing realizations is this. It's not about how many people are in your life, but how deeply you're connected to them. As you move through your 70s and beyond, your social priorities begin to shift. The need to keep up fades. You're no longer interested in surface-level conversations or friendships that revolve around habit rather than heart. Instead, you begin to crave something deeper, trust, comfort, and shared understanding. You realize that a quiet afternoon with one genuine friend is more nourishing than a crowded room of people who barely listen. You understand that the people who truly matter won't need constant updates, weekly check-ins, or proof that you care. They already know. Nancy, for example, used to exhaust herself keeping in touch with everyone. She'd spend hours on the phone, schedule coffee dates she didn't really enjoy, and push herself to stay socially active. But no matter how much she tried, she still felt a quiet emptiness. Eventually, Nancy took a step back. She looked at her life and asked herself a simple question: who brings me peace? The answer surprised her. It wasn't the people she talked to. Most often it was the ones she could be silent with, the ones who understood without explanation, the ones who accepted her fully even when weeks passed without a word. So she made a choice, a loving, intentional one. She let go of the pressure to maintain every relationship. She began focusing on those that brought her joy, the ones that felt like home. This shift isn't about becoming distant or cold. It's about embracing senior wisdom, the ability to recognize what matters most, and release what no longer serves your spirit. You may have noticed this in your own life. That friend you used to see weekly may no longer fit your energy, and that old neighbor you only see twice a year. They still make you smile, still make you feel known. And that's what counts. Prioritizing quality over quantity means you no longer need to explain yourself. You no longer feel guilty for stepping away from people who drain you. Instead, you feel peace. Because your circle may be smaller, but it's filled with real love. This also brings a profound sense of emotional safety. When you're surrounded by people who truly get you, there's no need to perform, pretend, or prove. You can simply be. At Senior Wellness, we often say that healthy aging isn't just about the body, it's about the heart. And the heart thrives in relationships that feel easy, mutual, and real. If you've been feeling pulled to simplify your social life, trust that instinct. If you've noticed that you'd rather spend time with a few close companions than a large group of acquaintances, know that you're honoring your growth. You've lived through decades of conversations, experiences, and connections. Now is the time to be selective, to choose the voices that calm your mind, the faces that light you up, and the people who bring you back to yourself. That's not selfish, that's sacred. So here's to the friendships that don't need constant tending, the bonds that remain even when miles or months stretch between them, the people who remind us that real connection doesn't depend on frequency, but on feeling. That's the beauty of growing older, and that's the heart of Senior Wellness. A shift in priorities and personal reflection. As you move through life, something gentle but powerful begins to happen. The things that once seemed so important, keeping up with social invitations, making appearances, staying busy just to stay busy, start to lose their weight. In their place, something more meaningful begins to rise: clarity. After 70, many people begin to experience a quiet transformation. They no longer feel the need to prove themselves or be seen everywhere. The pressure to belong or keep up starts to fall away, and in its place comes a deeper connection to inner peace. You begin to ask new questions. What brings me joy? What brings me calm? What truly matters at this stage of life? And the answers often are not found in crowded events or constant activity. They're found in the stillness of your home, in long walks, in reading a book you've always meant to finish, in letting go of obligations that no longer fill your heart. This is where senior wisdom begins to guide you more than habit ever did. Take Robert, for example. In his younger years, he was always out and about, attending every event, leading every group, making sure he was part of every conversation. But now at 76, he finds more meaning in slower days. He spends mornings outside, tending to his garden. He's found joy in solitude, comfort in silence, and value in self-reflection. At first, Robert worried that people might think he was pulling away. But over time, he realized something: choosing a quieter life isn't stepping back, it's stepping inward. This shift in priorities is not about isolation. It's about choosing presence, being present with yourself, your thoughts, your values. It's a different kind of connection, one that begins from within and radiates outward. And in doing so, you may find that your visits to others become less frequent but more intentional. You stop visiting just to fill time or meet expectations. Instead, you go when it feels right, when your heart is open and the moment invites real connection. This is a key part of healthy aging. It's not just about physical well-being, it's about emotional alignment. And it's why senior living means more than where you reside. It means how you choose to spend your time, who you choose to share it with, and how closely your actions reflect your values. This phase of life invites you to slow down, to listen, and to live in deeper harmony with yourself. That might mean fewer social outings, but it often means greater fulfillment. Of course, this change can feel unfamiliar. You may wonder if you're doing enough. You might question whether it's okay to say no. But rest assured it is. You are allowed to redefine what enough means. If joy now comes from a peaceful morning, that's enough. If connection comes from a phone call instead of a visit, that's enough. If your favorite part of the week is sitting with a warm cup of tea and your own thoughts, that too is enough. At Senior Wellness, we believe your time, your presence, and your peace are sacred. And as your priorities shift, it's okay to honor what feels right for you. So if you've noticed yourself pulling back from the pace you once kept, don't resist it. That's not losing touch, it's reconnecting with your truest self. You are not becoming less, you're becoming more intentional. That in itself is the gift of aging. And it's one worth embracing with open hands and a peaceful heart. Recognizing that true friendships don't require frequent visits. One of the most comforting lessons that aging teaches us is this: real friendships don't fade just because you see each other less often. As life changes, so do routines, responsibilities, and energy levels. But what remains, what truly endures, is connection rooted in mutual respect, understanding, and love. In earlier stages of life, we often feel pressure to keep up. We believe friendships require constant maintenance, regular phone calls, weekly visits, and shared events to stay strong. But over time, something shifts. You begin to notice that the most meaningful relationships don't demand so much. They simply exist steady and supportive, even in silence. There's a quiet beauty in friendships where months can pass, and yet when you reconnect, it feels like no time has passed at all. Eleanor, a warm-hearted woman in her late 70s, once believed that not visiting friends or family often enough meant she was being distant. She worried others would think she didn't care. So she pushed herself, despite fatigue, despite her aching joints, to show up, to stay visible. But in doing so, she often left gatherings feeling drained, not fulfilled. Then something changed. She stopped forcing visits. She started listening to her body and honoring her own pace. And a surprising truth emerged. The friends who truly valued her never made her feel guilty. They understood. They welcomed her when she was ready. And when they talked, even after weeks or months apart, the bond remained strong and whole. That is the essence of senior wisdom. The understanding that friendship isn't about frequency. It's about depth. It's not about how often you show up, but how genuinely you care when you do. True friends don't keep score. They don't measure love by the number of texts or the length of visits. They simply appreciate the connection in whatever form it takes. This perspective offers incredible freedom. It releases you from unnecessary guilt. It allows you to rest, reflect, and reconnect when the time feels right without pressure or shame. And if someone does make you feel bad for not visiting enough, it's worth gently asking yourself, is that friendship built on mutual care or on expectation? Healthy friendships adapt with life. They evolve as your needs, energy, and pace evolve. They make room for change, for distance, and for periods of quiet. And when you return, they greet you with warmth, not guilt. That kind of connection is more than friendship. It's emotional wellness. It supports not just your heart, but your overall health. In fact, many experts agree that the quality of our relationships has a powerful impact on our well-being in later years. This is where senior health tips go beyond physical care and begin to touch the emotional and relational aspects of aging well. So if you found yourself visiting less often lately, but still feel deeply connected to those who matter, take heart. That's not a sign of fading friendship. It's a sign of trust, of ease, of love that doesn't need proving. You've earned the right to pace your life in the way that best supports you, to offer your presence when it feels full, not forced, and to rest in the comfort that real bonds once built don't break with time or distance. At Senior Wellness, we honor this kind of connection. It's gentle, it's steady, and it reminds us that sometimes the strongest friendships are the ones that ask for nothing, but remain strong through everything. So cherish those quiet, resilient friendships. Let go of guilt. And know that love at its truest doesn't require a calendar to stay alive. As we come to the end of this reflection, take a quiet moment to breathe and consider what these 6 truths have revealed. If you found yourself visiting people less often after 70, you're not alone and you're not wrong for it. Life changes, energy shifts, and your priorities become clearer with time. What once felt urgent now feels optional, and what once felt like duty now feels like choice. You've earned the right to use your time in ways that bring peace, not pressure. Whether it's preserving your energy for meaningful moments, avoiding stressful environments, finding joy in your own space, cherishing deeper connections, honoring your personal growth, or trusting that true friendships endure, every decision you make is valid. You're not pulling away from life. You're leaning into a quieter, richer, more intentional version of it. One where your value isn't measured by how often you show up, but by how fully present you are when you do. This stage of life isn't about doing more, it's about being more thoughtful, more centered, more connected to what truly matters. So let go of the guilt, embrace the calm, and remember the people who genuinely care for you will understand you even in your stillness. If this video resonated with you, we invite you to like, share, and subscribe for more stories and reflections created with heart and respect for your journey. Thank you for spending this time with us. May your days be filled with peace and your relationships filled with meaning.